Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And there's one reality we can talk about, and that is that South Africa is definitely following the same road as Zimbabwe. What does this all mean? Well, if you want to look in the looking glass and look at your future, then see what's happening in Zimbabwe. And let's remember that Zimbabwe doesn't have the incredible escalating crime levels that South Africa does. So South Africa has an added complication. But this is the reality of Zimbabwe today. And it's coming to South Africa soon. A red light or a high-pitched alarm are the two most dreaded things in our lives in Zimbabwe today. They mean that the car has almost run out of fuel, the prepaid electricity meter is about to run out of money, the phone battery is almost flat, the internet connection has gone, the inverter battery is dying, and when the red lights go off completely, we just grind to a halt. After weeks of 12 to 17 hours a day power cuts, we are worn down to a frazzle, getting up in the middle of the night every night to cook, change batteries and electronic equipment, catch up on domestic chores, work on computers, meeting deadlines, and keep any sort of production going is taking a heavy toll on all of us. People running businesses are forced to put prices up to cover costs of using generators. Others are cutting staff down to 1 or 2 days a week, and others are just closing their doors altogether. We hear of farmers ploughing wheat crops in winter as they cannot irrigate without electricity and cannot afford the hundreds of litres of fuel needed every day to run generators and remain viable. In my hometown and many others, the water situation is dire. As I write, the whole town has no water for over a week. Local authorities apportion blame to different departments and either say there is no money to buy chemicals, no electricity to run pumps, or that they are doing refurbishments. Which one is true? We mutter as we bend, stoop, fill, and carry buckets and boil unsafe water on open fires outside. This week, the official inflation rate for June 2019 was announced, jumping from 97% in May to 175% in June. According to Zim stats, the prices of basic goods from sugar to cooking oil to building materials soared during the month by as much as 200%. In the months since the government banned trading in anything except Zim dollars, the new but mostly non-existent Zim dollar has lost 27.9% of its value. The ability to change US dollars cash into Zim dollars cash is all but impossible, despite being required by law. Going into a bank in my hometown, I asked if they could change US dollars to Zim dollars. Oh yes, they said, and told me the rate of exchange for the day. Trying then and there to change US dollars 10 into Zim dollars cash wasn't going to happen, however. I can only do that if we've got the cash, the teller said, and advised me to come back every day to check if they had cash. You never know when you'll be lucky, he said, and I went to try and persuade me to open an account there, an account which attracts a minimum balance, administration fee, and ledger fees, 2% mandatory government tax on transactions over $10, debit card fees, etc. Outside in the sun, scores of people were just waiting to be lucky, either to be able to withdraw their meagre monthly government pension of Zim $80 in cash, or to get the US dollar cash that had been sent to them by their relations outside the country via Western Union, Mukuru, or other international currency remitters. Absurdly, ironically, while getting Zimbabwe dollars out of the banks is almost impossible, the Reserve Bank Governor, John Mangadio, said it was about time to revise upward the weekly withdrawal limit to Zim $300. Revising the limit upward at a time when you can't withdraw any Zim dollars at all, how does that work? Not to mention the fact that the existing weekly limit of 300 Zim dollars is the equivalent to less than $5 a day. Equally absurd is the claim made at every opportunity by the Minister of Finance that Zimbabwe has been recording a budget surplus since December 2018 and continues to do so. The minister doesn't mention the fact that it is us, the people, who have to pay 2% tax on every electronic transaction over $10, and we assume that that's where much of the budget surplus comes from. We also assume the 2% tax is the reason why it's almost impossible to get cash, because if you pay in cash, you don't pay the 2% tax. The minister also doesn't explain why the budget surplus isn't used to pay off electricity debts and resume power imports from South Africa and Mozambique. Behind all of this absurdity are the countless numbers of people of all ages and races across the country who are simply falling through the cracks. A man told me about the mountain of medical bills waiting to be paid for his 83-year-old dad who had been in a car accident. Medical specialists, no longer allowed to charge in US dollars, have multiplied everything by 10 or more. An anesthetist charge, quoted at $850 US, is now Zim 9,000. Rural teachers who were earning US $438 a month now find their salary only worth the equivalent of $49 US. In a petition to the Ministry of Finance, they said, "We have been robbed of our dignity. We have been reduced to paupers." An appeal from an old age home in Harare, in operation for 50 years, who say they've reached a crossroads and do not know how to continue without urgent assistance. They are crippled by huge fuel prices needed to run generators during 17 hours a day power cuts, generators for preserving food, cooking, lighting, heating water, and providing oxygen to elderly residents with breathing difficulties. They say their food prices have quadrupled, that their staff are struggling to feed their families. The chairman of the home writes that they need a miracle to remain standing strong in the winds of change. Heartbreaking stories are all around us, from the young and the old, and everywhere you look. In every shop and supermarket, people look dazed and bewildered, looking at prices at the most basic items and leaving without them. The late winter annual slash and burn environmental devastation is underway. Unchecked, unstoppable. Cut the trees, burn the grass, acquire a piece of wetland or greenbelt and call it your own self-apportioned plot. Zimbabwe burns while the lights are out. So, it doesn't look like a pretty picture. But in South Africa, as I say, you have the added complication of a very, very rampant crime. All right, guys, please remember to stay subscribed. Subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates, and have a great evening.